Hello, everyone, and welcome to 1923 Main Street.
Home of the Daddy-Daughter Disney Travel Podcast. We are your hosts.
I am Mike Bello-Braddock.
And I'm Amelia Bello-Braddock. And today, we will be discussing club-level accommodations at Walt Disney World.
Ooh, this is one of my favorite things to talk about. And it's also one of the most popular topics on my Luxury Disney travel blog. People are always asking about and reading about club level. So, of course, we have to do a show on club level accommodations. Now, Amelia, I know you don't really like club level accommodations.
Oh, you know that, do you?
You never like when we book them. No, I'm just kidding.
See, these are just one of the many, many, many things you get wrong.
In this case, I knew I was wrong. I know who doesn't like club level accommodations, but as the whole point we're talking about this for is they are not cheap.
No.
And they are not just a little bit more, they can be a lot more. So,
well, Daddy, do you think it's worth it? I mean, you're the one paying.
well, that is, in fact, that's what we're going to talk about today. Is it worth it? But I will say this to you. Yes, I am the one paying. Until you become a big star and then you're paying. We're banking it all on you getting rich and paying for us in our golden years.
Oh, great.
Living at Disney. But the question is it worth it? And the answer is not straightforward. So we're going to go through what you get in club level, and then I'll talk about whether I think it's worth it, or I'll talk about what people should consider to think if it's worth it for them. So,
well, I have heard it's a lot of money, but I mean, these are just rumors. I don't have a bank account.
It is a lot, but let's talk about. So first of all, what is club level at Walt Disney World? And I will say, we're going to talk about club level at Walt Disney World, but they have club level accommodations at other Disney resorts as well.
Yeah.
And most of these same things apply. For example, we stayed where most recently in club level?
Disneyland Paris.
Yes, great club level there. You can listen to that episode 2, I think it was.
Yes, episode 2.
We talked quite a bit about club level there. But this one, club level Walt Disney World.
Yeah, and there are some similar factors for all of these club level lounges or just club level in general, but today we will be talking about more specific features that have to do with Walt Disney World in Florida.
I notice when you talk about club level, you go right to the lounge every time.
Well, I mean, when you hear club level, yes, there are other accommodations, but the main
All right, let's talk. Let's start.
Let's
just start with the lounge because that's where you like to go, and so I'll do other aspects of club level, but let's jump in right with club level lounge. So yes, when you stay in club level, you have access to the club level lounge. And the club level lounge has different forms and different club levels at Walt Disney World. But essentially what it is an area where you can go and relax. There are tables and there are little chairs with TVs for the kids. But of course, there's the food and drink. And that's what everybody loves.
So there are different, they change the foods that they have
throughout the day.
There, it's like a buffet, but there's a lot of food.
Yeah, it's like a miniature buffet.
5 to 7 or 8 times a day.
Not 8. It's probably 4 to 7, and they can rotate. And I found it's different at different club levels. But basically, it'll start with a continental breakfast. So you used to love the cereal when you were a kid.
I mean,
there's continental breakfast and hot coffees and teas and all that for breakfast. So that's handy for breakfast. And then they'll have sometimes they have in-betweens, but then they'll have a lunch.
Yeah, but what I do want to say, the breakfast, a lot of these things are not actual meals, but for the breakfast, you don't really need a huge buffet breakfast. They don't have Mickey waffles. Well, they haven't had Mickey waffles yet, but I mean, in the future they might.
Yeah, it's not a hot breakfast.
Yeah, but most of the time, a bagel or a piece of toast and butter or a bowl of cereal is really all you'll need.
Yeah, and there's a lot of other things too. There's lots of choice at breakfast and muffins, and then they'll have a sort of lunch snacks, and then they'll have an afternoon sometimes, and then the dinner time is when they have the hot items, and they'll have things on skewers
or shrimp.
Shrimp. Sometimes they have beef or shrimp or chicken on skewers and other hot items that are really samples from their restaurants. And then later night they'll have sort of late night snacks, and then aperitifs and wine and beer. And you can really request those things throughout the day, the drinks especially. So that's one good thing about it. But we should mention one thing that we have found and always recommend with respect to having access to this food in club level.
Yeah. You don't necessarily need a dining plan.
Yeah.
Not necessarily you don't need a dining plan.
So if you're considering staying in club level, take the need for a dining plan off the table. That, in my opinion, would be a waste of money. Now, it's not a replacement. Club level is not a meal replacement. They are not meals. Having said that, I've seen quite a few Disney guests pretty much make meals out of these things.
Well, if you eat enough of them.
Yeah, if you eat enough of them, you can do it. But really, if you don't need a dining plan, you can have breakfast. You can book a nice character breakfast or a few dinners or lunches, or just be more casual about it, knowing that there's going to be always something to eat at club level back at your hotel. So it saves you the cash. Put that dining cash towards your club level, and you'll enjoy the experience. So the club level lounge is awesome. It's different at different ones.
Yeah.
I really love the Grand Floridian one personally.
Yeah, that would have to be my favorite one as well.
And my wife, Amelia's mom, really likes to be on the same floor as the lounges.
Well, it is a great accommodation, and I would recommend that.
Yeah, because club level areas at any hotel, Polynesian, Contemporary is a bit different because the way they do it on 2 floors. But a lot of times the lounge area where the food is and other things we'll talk about are not necessarily, you may have to go up 1 or 2 floors. So it's not a big deal, but if you like that idea, you can request that your room be on the same floor as the lounge.
Yeah, and that's actually a good travel tip. I don't think we've mentioned that in our tips episode. You can request a room.
Yeah, and I would say you should request a room.
No,
this
you
is
should,
a good tip.
Because, I would say maybe 80 to 85% of the time, you will get your room.
Yeah, they do a great... So they'll tell you... So here's the thing. They'll tell you we cannot guarantee room requests, and they can't because there's so many factors when you stay, when people are checking out, and so on and so forth. But do your request for any hotel, club level or not, any Disney resort, and request a room because most guests don't. So we have huge success with room requests. So definitely do it, and in particular in this case, if you really want to be on the same level.
Yeah.
For, the club level at the Polynesian has those huge windows. It's just massive from ground to up. And that lounge is 2 levels, and it has a great view of the castle. And that's where my wife really likes to be on that level. She just likes walking down the hall and rolling right into that wide open space of the Polynesian King Kamehameha club level. Whereas I prefer the Royal Palm Club level at the Grand Floridian, but I wouldn't look down on any club level.
You mean I don't really have a problem with any club level. It's food. It's there. It's the morning. I walk down the hall. I don't really see a problem here.
So that is a little tip with respect to where your room is.
Yeah. So I remember you mentioned earlier when I asked you, do you think it's worth it? And you said there's no definitive answer. Well, Daddy, would you, in your personal opinion, think it's worth it?
I'm going to go through these points and it'll help other people make a decision. But for me, as you know, I do think it's worth it because here's the thing. We're going to go through in this episode a few more of the points. We've just touched on the lounge, but there are, 5 or 6 other things that you get. But if you're asking me if I do the math, if you try to do the math and add up, are all these things worth it in dollars and cents? No. The answer I would say is no. It's not. You can't quantify club level in dollars and cents. But if you love the experience of being in the most upscale accommodations at any of these deluxe resort hotels, you really like the idea of the lounge, you want to be pampered, you love all the cool little extras you get as a club level guest, you're paying for them, but do you like them? Yes, absolutely. Do they deliver? Yeah. I say yes in all of our experiences.
I have to agree with that. They fully deliver.
So let's talk about a few other things, and we'll talk about other club levels as we go. So we've already talked about the lounge because Amelia likes to jump to the food.
Well, I mean, it is the main point. Well, not the main point.
Oh, I'd agree. Most people,
The main
that's what people
idea
really,
of club level.
that's the coolest. That's probably the only thing you could sort of quantify in dollars and cents, really, if you look at it from the dining plan way that we did. But let's talk about the location. So another thing I like to talk about is club level at every Deluxe Disney Resort is in a special area. And what that means is it's a carded or magic banded area. So the average guest can't just roll into the club level area to look around. So if you like that idea of exclusivity, that's a plus. Also, if you're someone who cares about, or concerned about security for any reason.
That's a good point.
Yeah, that extra level of carded access in the Grand Floridian, it's an elevator from the lobby.
Yeah, and also at Paris, but
yeah, at Paris it's an elevator. At the Polynesian, for example, it's a separate building, and there is a separate building at the Grand Floridian as well. There are actually 2 club level areas there. So, however they do it, it is cut off from non-club level guests.
So you will have to tap your magic band twice. So you have to tap your magic band at the Grand Floridian to even access the elevator, special elevator. And at other resorts, you have to tap your magic band inside the elevator to get to a special floor.
Well, in some of them, that's at Paris, but at Walt Disney World.
Yeah, at Walt Disney World. It's a little bit different, but
some of them you have to
similar.
get into the building. Like at the Polynesian, there's sliding glass doors into the Hawaii building.
So what you need to do is you need to tap it to get to the floor. And then after that, you have to tap it again to get into your room.
Yes, but a small price to pay for club level.
Yeah, but that's a cool thing because if you are somebody, like you mentioned, who is worried about security reasons, then somebody has to tap a magic band just to even get into that floor.
Yeah.
Not even, let alone your room. So that's
so there's an extra layer of security at club level.
That is
another thing. That's
a safety thing.
Yeah, that's a small thing. Is more of a pampered thing. Is club level guests get turn down service.
Yes.
So if you like coming back and having your drapes drawn, your TV on with low music playing and the bed turned down and a nice little hotel chocolate on your pillow, you're going to get that at club level.
Or if you have little kids who you need to have a sugar rush right before bed so they can crash and sleep, it's another great option. And I mean, they'll love it at sugar. What's not to love?
Yeah. So turn down service is given for club level guests. And I will say that I definitely find the mousekeeping to be just a little bit better at club level.
Yeah, I mean, there are different, like, a lot of the rooms have mousekeeping, and even DVC rooms have mousekeeping once a week. But in club level, it just feels a little bit extra. They
go the extra mile. And while we're on rooms, this is another thing to talk about. The rooms in club level are similar generally to the ones at the hotel, but they are a little bit more finely appointed. So I find the club level rooms to be just a little bit nicer.
Yeah. And it's not like a huge significant difference, but if you are someone who pays attention to detail, who can just appreciate the extra little mile that they go, you will definitely notice the difference.
And actually, in some cases, again, like the Grand Floridian, there are rooms that are not available anywhere else, and those are the turret rooms.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, those are the round ones, sort of like on one of the tall pillars at the Grand Floridian, there's the round rooms that wrap around from the outside. Those rooms do not have balconies, but they are unique and exclusive to club level. So turret rooms, for example.
But if you are someone who doesn't really care that much about balconies, or if you have one, doesn't use it a lot, it is a pretty good option to have.
Yeah, and the rooms are quite nice. So let's...
Ooh, magical moment, I hear.
If you listen to our last episode, you have heard about our new segments. And when you hear that sound, that means we are going to talk about a magical moment. And I'm going to quiz Amelia and see if she can come up with a magical moment related to club level at Walt Disney World. Can you?
Oh, goodness. Okay. This one I do not actually remember, but there are pictures.
Oh, I know what you're going to talk about. Go ahead.
So when I was little, you were actually just showing these to me.
Now, you're saying you don't remember because you were...
like 2.
2 years old when this happened.
And I was little, and you were actually just showing these to me, I think, a few weeks ago. But I had my special fancy little Cinderella dress on, and I would not take that thing off. And I guess they saw me walking around in it. And when we came back to our club level room,
one afternoon,
just like a random afternoon, they had made like a towel thing, and it had a crown on and like a fancy one of those like necklaces. Those
yeah, you
bead
know how they do
necklace.
the towel. If
Yeah.
you've stayed in a Disney resort, they make the towels into little animal shapes. But
Yeah.
this one was decked out. It
a
had a crown on, a
princess.
princess, and that wasn't all. The room was decked out.
Yeah, and there was like this. It was around Christmas time,
Yeah.
and they had this giant Christmas Mickey balloon. It was helium. It was really,
Yeah,
it
so
was very extra miley.
yeah, this
That's
was
not a
definitely
word,
a
but it's
magical
fine.
moment. So Amelia was walking around the Grand Floridian lobby. We went to the Cinderella Happily Ever After dinner, and she was just a little kid then. And they obviously saw us in club level up and down the halls, and she loved wearing that Cinderella dress. And one day we came back, and for absolutely no reason, the room was decked out. So that really was a magical moment. It made a big difference on our stay that time.
Yeah, and so like it's not a huge thing. I mean, you can buy special balloons in the park, but it's just the fact that the Disney cast members would do that for you. It is a very special thing
Yeah,
to just
good one. That's a good.
mind.
We've had a lot of magical moments at club level, or things like the bungalows that we'll get into in later days. But it really, I have to say, in our room now, mind you, we only stay in deluxe resorts. I'll say, but a lot of our club levels are related to when we're in the premium rooms. So you do get treated extra special way. Nothing's guaranteed, but
Yeah.
we do find that there is an extra level, which you would expect for premium pricing.
Yeah.
So that was our magical moment for this episode. Good one. Yeah, you don't remember that, but but we were just looking at the photos, so I'm glad you came up with that one.
Brilliant.
So we've talked about the exclusive locations, the lounge area and food, the turn down service. So another thing you get as a club level guest is the personal concierge. So
Oh yes.
generally there's 2 concierges on site sitting in the area that you can access. And if you have problems with something, or we talked about this in a previous episode, this when we were having our last magical moment actually was about this, the parade. And we were just talking to one of these concierges in club level, and they took care of it for us. And they'll actually contact you ahead of time as well. So when you book club level, you're going to get contacted by these concierges to ask if you need help with planning anything. So they're above and beyond the ones that are in the lobby of the hotel. So personal concierges for club level is a big bonus.
It is. Because a lot of people think, oh, well, it's just another concierge on a different level, but there's so much more than that. And I think it's important that a bit more people know that.
Yeah. It's just, if something goes wrong, I would go to the concierges in club level. I wouldn't line up at City Hall in the Magic Kingdom for that matter, because they'll take care of you. If they can, they will.
Exactly.
Now, speaking of sort of hotel systems, there's another thing that I really love about staying in club level, and it has to do with check-in.
Oh, yes.
You do not check in the regular lobby.
You're very sophisticated and special.
When you stay in club level, they will, or they should, sometimes if it's overwhelmed, this is skipped, but their objective is to greet you out front of the hotel. So they always ask your name when you approach. When they see you're in club level, you will be greeted there, and you will be whisked away through the crowded lobby, especially if you've come on the Magical Express and there's 50 other people with you. And you go to the club level area, and they check you in there. You do not check in with the standard hotel guests.
I can speak from personal experience. You've just entered Disney, yet you feel like a princess or prince.
Yeah, you really do. You get the royal treatment right out of the gate when you enter that way. So I really like that.
Now, I want to ask you something.
All right.
You're talking about all these club levels that you love. Are there any you don't like?
Ooh, that's a good question. I mean, I do love them all. Oh yeah. You know what? Thanks for asking that question, because there's something I meant to say and I forgot about it, and now I will say it. Let's, we keep talking about the Magic Kingdom Resort hotels, but let's hop over to club level at the Yacht and Beach Club.
Okay.
So there's a couple of interesting things here that I'm thinking of as we say this. Actually, there's another magical moment. Maybe we'll save that. But I don't like, first, at the at the Beach Club level, Some of the club level rooms do not have balconies.
Oh,
So I recommend staying at the yacht club if you want to do club level in that area, because
yeah.
they all have balconies. And I, as we discussed a few minutes ago, I like my balconies, and you like balconies too.
And it is just a great way to get some fresh air. And what I like to do is I just like to go outside and maybe get some breakfast from club level, take it back to the room, enjoy it on the balcony.
And I always
It's
request,
nice.
like we always do, I like water views. So I'll always request and pay, within club level, just like anywhere. There's standard view, theme park view. So you pay more or less. I like the water views in club level or even in standard rooms or villas. That's what we always request. But the thing I like the yacht club because it has balconies. But what I don't love about the yacht club is the actual lounge is really small. It's like a hotel room made into a lounge sort of thing. So it is not as grand as the Grand or the Contemporaries or the Polynesians or many of the other deluxe resort hotels.
Yeah.
But still, I would suggest to you, if you care about balconies, go yacht club in that area. So I wouldn't say I don't like it, but I don't like an aspect of that one for sure.
Yeah. So you have to decide how much do you care about balconies. If you really want a balcony, then go to yacht club, but your lounge might not be as grand. But if you don't care about balconies, or if you think you have a pretty good chance requesting the room, which typically you do, then maybe stay at the beach club.
Yeah. And the last point I have here on my little notes for this episode, and then we can chat further, is those surprise perks. So I really have found that we get more surprise perks or magical moments when we stay in club level than when we stay in anywhere else. So that even happened in Paris. We got quite a bit more. So yeah, that makes a big difference. So let me just round out the points again quickly as we wrap up. So in club level, here's what you get: exclusive locations, extra security, a lounge area with food and drinks, turn down service with chocolates, a personal concierge that offers itinerary planning.
That's true. You didn't mention that.
Oh, I think I did.
Oh, well.
And a private check-in area, and the option of nicer rooms. And generally, we found housekeeping that's just a little bit more attentive than the traditional rooms in the same hotels.
Yeah, so you said you don't overly like the club level at yacht club. So you would say that the Grand Floridian club level is your favorite then?
Yes, the Grand Floridian club level in the Royal Palm Club, because there
Yes.
are two. There's the Sugarloaf building. So the Grand Floridian has two completely separate club levels.
Yeah.
One is an entire outbuilding, the Sugarloaf,
Which is still great.
which is still great. But the Royal Palm Club is located right in the main lobby. So when you take that elevator, you're stepping out into the grand lobby, literally.
Yeah, so, but the Grand Floridian just has that special thing
Yeah.
about it. And I'd have to agree the Royal Palm Club is also my favorite club level, no question.
And there are suites in club level too, if you really want
yes.
to blow the budget. And speaking of this, it comes back to your question earlier. Is it worth it? So we've talked about all the things you get. Is it worth it? I can't answer that for you.
Well, how would you tell someone to decide?
Okay, so here's what I would tell someone. I'd tell someone, if all the things I just talked about are important to you, if you typically stay in luxury hotels, Ritz-Carlton's, Four Seasons, or places where you get that top level of pampering, then you may enjoy club level and won't balk at paying for that type of service. You're paying for these services, as you rightly should expect to get something. It's not an inexpensive thing to stay in club level.
It's not a cheap budget vacation.
It's not a cheap, well, no Disney vacation is a cheap budget vacation.
That's a good point. There's no cheap at
But
Disney.
club level, for sure. I love what I get. So it's a question of value. Do you value all those little extras and like having at your fingers concierges in case something goes wrong, knowing they're going to go the extra mile dedicated for you? Do you love having access to food and drink throughout the day? Do you love the pampering of turn down service? Or when the mousekeeping's watching you, and you walk in and Amelia sees her room, like the magic of her eyes at 2, and she walked in and all the stuff was in. We were shocked. Like, was this a mistake? Was this not our, did they mean to give this to somebody else? But no, they were so nice. And we talked to them after about it, and they were super, super nice. So if you value those things at all and you're wondering about it, I say go for it.
Yeah, I'd say go for it as well, because it's just great to know that there's that little bit of extra magic, because Disney is full of all the magic that you have, and it's generally magical, but Club Level just really goes the extra mile, and it's that extra splash of magic from Fairy Godmother's wand.
Yeah, so we love Club Level, highly recommend it. We are DVC members, so we stay in the villas a lot, but we still do like to stay in Club Level, as we just did in Paris. So when we go back to the non-DVC rooms now and then, it's either Club Level or something like the bungalow. So definitely the top tier accommodations. So I hope that helps. If you've been wondering whether Club Level's for you or what you get, it's not quantifiable in dollars and cents, so don't try to rack your brain that way.
Yeah.
You've just got to think of all the things we've discussed today and that we value. Are those important to you? And if they're not, then, a standard hotel room, the Grand Floridian, is still pretty nice, or any one of these deluxe resorts for that matter. But if you like those little bonus extras, and I will warn you, once you've stayed in Club Level, it's going to be
want to go back.
It's going to be hard to go back to a non-Club Level room. So bear that in mind. You may be opening up your kids. We created a monster in Amelia when we were
Well, that's not let's not jump to conclusions here.
You grew up on Club Level at Walt Disney World, and that sort of set a high bar to maintain. Costs a pretty penny. So just bear that in mind as well.
Yeah.
So I think that just about wraps up this episode.
Does.
And I hope you have a better idea of what Club Level can offer.
Yeah, and for more details, check out the post at MikeBelabraddock.com or head over to our website, 1923mainstreet.com.
Yes, and I will put links in the show notes to some more. I have photos. I've done some posts of room photos from various Club Levels, so I'll put those in the show notes. So if you want to see, what the views are like from Club Level, check that out. And also you will find us on social media at 1923 Main Street, Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. So be sure to visit us there. And of course, we're on all podcast players. And if you have any questions or comments, please contact us at the website at 1923mainstreet.com. We love to hear from you, answer your questions, or if you have any ideas of something that might make a good episode, we'd love to hear that too. Yeah. We're always looking for great ideas. So thanks for listening, everyone. We hope you have a magical day.
Bye-bye.